Good morning, Mom. Dr. Janet.
Good morning, Doc. Good
Naka-live
morning,
po ba
everyone.
si Ma'am, ay si Dr.
Actually, Doc, hindi kasi siya maka-live today because ano kasi siya pag weekend, pupunta kasi sila ng province para to refresh. Ano kasi siya, sir, sakitin talaga. Yung ano ba, may dinadalang ano. So, kailangan niyang mag ano pag weekend. So, ano na lang, kami na lang ang sir, mag-watch sa kanya.
we can
Okay,
record
yes.
this anyway, mapapanood din sa website.
Yes. But then yesterday nag-ano siya I gave her the link. She needs really more rest kasi yun parang kasi yung health issues ni ma'am. Okay, thank you, Doc.
Thank you din po, Doc. Thank you. I think we're few today because most people go to the went or are in the church right now or still
Yes.
in the church. Tayo lang ang hindi nag-church. So we will proceed as planned. Anyway, it will be recorded and streamed later. Po.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome again for our fifth Gen TFL International Conference. And we have an announcement today. Number one, videos are on the website for day one. Password is capital Gen TFL 2015. And Gen TFL are all capital letters, 2015. Conferences videos will be premiered on Gen TFL YouTube channel on 15th and 16th of December. Only the speaker on this conference full paper due to extended until 15 December. So if you have some corrections in your abstract, you can still send us. So thank you very much for joining us today. We're all welcome, and I think we're going to start with our plenary session. I would like to call Miss Eunice to introduce us our plenary speaker today.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So please give me the time to introduce our speaker for today, our plenary speaker for today. So our speaker has a doctoral degree in education, major in educational management, and is on her dissertation phase on another doctoral degree in philosophy and English. She is currently a graduate school and college professor at USPF since 2017. She worked as a graduate school and college professor in East WU in 1993 to 2016 and has taught courses in sciences, health, English, and other related subjects. She has also served as a thesis and dissertation advisor and a licensure examination for teachers as a lecturer. Among the notable achievements and accolades she has received are Outstanding Teacher, Outstanding Advisor, Outstanding Student Teacher, Outstanding Student Leader, President of the Teachers College Student Government, and Dens Medallion recipient for highest academic achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our speaker, Dr. Haydee C. Gabriel.
Once upon a time, there were storytellers, and it was fun. Then came science that increased understanding. Together, they made it fun understanding. Later, jargon and tests came to join science, and fun understanding was nowhere to be found because storytellers left. Became so boring. But one day, science realized that it needed the storytellers to bring back understanding. Storytellers were just waiting to be called back by science. They did not actually leave, but were just pushed away because science thought that stories were trivial. Now, storytellers and science are reunited, joining fun and understanding once again. Long live storytellers and science, and they lived happily ever after. Storytelling and science teaching in the University of Southern Philippines Foundation, USPF. I am Dr. Haydee Gabriel. The flow of topics would start with the problem or opportunity, followed by the solution, and then the benefit. Problem 1. Filipino students have low science literacy. That is based on PISA Philippines 2018. Evidence 1. In the study of Espinosa A, it stated that out of 45 participating countries in the Trends in International Mathematics and Science Study, or TIMSS, in 2003, the Philippines ranked 41st and 42nd in mathematics and science, respectively. This suggests that Filipino students are weak in terms of mastery level in mathematics and science when they graduate from high school. Evidence 2, that scientific literacy based on PISA 2018 National Report of the Philippines. The Filipino students attained an average score of 357 points in scientific literacy, which was significantly lower than the OECD average of 489 points. So the proposed solution for the problem of low science literacy is storytelling. Since students and teachers love stories, storytelling should be used as a regular science teaching technique. According to the quote by Chuck Matthey, facts, opinions, and value statements push people apart. Stories bring people together. Evidence 1. By Yuri Hassan in 2016, the neuroscientist based at Princeton University researched the neurological basis of human communication and storytelling. Using functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, it revealed that our brains show similar activity when we hear the same story. In one study, 5 people listened to the same personal story, told aloud. Before the recording begins, their brains show rather different activity. Then once the story starts, their brain activity become synced, or what Hassan calls aligned. As Fergus McAuliffe emphasized in his TED Dublin talk entitled Sharing Science Through Story, he said that stories are powerful tools. They enrapture, captivate, create a smile, a tear, a sliver. They emotionally connect, and connection is the key. That's evidence 2. Evidence 3. According to James A. Rose in 2017, he said that education has long made use of the story as a pedagogic technique. Evidence is building not only is a story innately interesting and compelling, but that use of this technique stimulates learning and recall. Teachers of humanities have widely embraced the value of teaching with stories. Although science teachers have been hesitant to admit this technique, research indicates storytelling and related use of narrative is effective in promoting the understanding and acceptance of science concepts. There are a wide range of narrative teaching techniques that can be used in science classroom. Evidence 4. Bill Myers in 2019 emphasized in his article on the power of storytelling that it is an ancient form of education and is at the core of what makes us human, that we naturally use storytelling in the way we think and organize our experiences. It stated that storytelling in the classroom goes beyond lecture, bringing course content to life and engaging learners cognitively and effectively. Evidence 5. Atif Kukaswadia in 2013 cited Klassen when he said that science stories differ from stories in the humanities in at least two critical aspects, namely, the purpose of the story and the role of the reader or the listener. The central purpose of the science story is, after all, to improve the teaching and learning of science, and it is not just to entertain or to communicate a message, as is the case for a story in the humanities. Evidence 6. Various storytelling techniques were implemented in the classroom in clinical nursing settings as a means for teaching and learning. Examples of specific techniques implemented included case studies, journals, stories from practice, life reviews, and reminiscence therapy. That's according to Schwartz and Abbott of 2007. So other educators and scientists and writers who see the effects of storytelling on science teaching are Agarwal, Baipal, Bennett, Cubillo, and Manzanares, Hawking, Homan, Capitan, Klassen, Knudson, Kukaswadia, Konigberg, Phillips, and Strauss, among the many, many others. So let's go to problem 2. Problem 2 is that science teachers use less storytelling as a teaching technique. This information I got from my own research in 2018, entitled Storytelling and Science Teaching in the University of Southern Philippines Foundation. Hesitance in storytelling? One reason is that teachers do not perceive storytelling as a science teaching technique like lectures, demonstrations, experimentations, and others. But Friday in 2014 asked, "Can you be a storyteller and a teacher?" In his study, he explained that teachers are storytellers and storytellers have been teachers for millennia. But in reality, teachers don't see themselves as storytellers. Or rather, they see the occasional storyteller and think it's theatrical, exaggerated, show more akin to acting. But hang on a minute, he said. Being a teacher definitely involves acting and theatrics. Another reason for hesitance in storytelling, the teachers in my study said that they are not confident to use storytelling due to lack of pre-service and in-service training in storytelling. This is supported by Mark Ula's study in 2016. His article showed that pre-service teacher training in the Philippines had cited High and Pinder and McDonald as they mentioned that practice teaching in education is still a challenge since it does not fully prepare student teachers for the actual classroom teaching, all the more in science teaching. Proposed solution to this hesitance in storytelling. There are 3. We start with 1. Include methodical storytelling as a teaching technique, especially in the science and art of storytelling. This is in all teaching training institutes if possible for all education programs. Specifically emphasize on choosing appropriate stories to teach, writing a good original story, or telling a story effectively. There are many online courses already for this. Proposed solution to address hesitance in storytelling is more in-service training for science teachers about the science and art of storytelling. Kubilay Kapitan in 2012 Challenges for Science Education, he said that one of the main problems that should be overcome for a sustainable and proper science education is the insufficient in-service training of the science teacher in the transition state of a new program. And the third solution for hesitance in storytelling is self-teaching. This is for personal improvement. We as teachers should have that urge to improve ourselves. So the many benefits of storytelling according to Friday in 2014. When you tell your story for the first time, there is a magical moment. The children sit enthralled, mouths open, eyes wide. Here are the many benefits that he had cited. Number 1, a story inspires purposeful talking. Number 2, it raises enthusiasm. Number 3, it initiates writing. Number 4, it enhances the community. Number 5, it improves listening. Number 6, it really engages the boys who love the acting. Number 7, stories enjoyed by children from all levels. And 8, it motivates English language learners to speak and write English. In summary, problem 1 and problem 2. Students' low science literacy and teachers' hesitance in storytelling can be solved by adding another technique, which is storytelling. Benefits of storytelling, I can just sum up in 4: MECC, motivation, engagement, connection, creativity. Another quote says, the best way to teach people is by telling a story. In conclusion, the science teaching and learning problems are worldwide, and there are many possible causes. Many see this as three-pronged problem of the students, the educational system, or us, teachers. However, we teachers can do our part in reducing the problem with one possible solution, which is cheap, enjoyable, and easy to acquire as a skill. Storytelling is inherent in us, so why don't we give it a try by learning it as a science teaching technique? Another quote, science is the storytelling of our time.
Thank you very much for sharing, Dr. Haydee. Are there any, it's my first time to hear that science, science, storytelling in science. So I said, oh, wow, that is very interesting. So I think Dr. Haydee is here. So are there any questions that you want to ask about the presentation?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
It's really a very interesting topic because I used it also for my daughter since I'm a homeschooling mom. So I had a problem with my daughter in terms of learning math. So I had to use storytelling technique, but there are actually books available, so you don't have to, think of how to do it. So like the Life of Fred series teaches all the basics of mathematics until you go, I think, until grade 6. But my question is, are there books or any materials that would already be pre-prepared so that the teachers will not have, so much hesitancy if there's too much preparation involved when it comes to science?
Ooh. Dr. Haydee, are you there?
Maybe she has a problem with the internet. I am trying to contact her, ma'am.
So as a kid, I really don't like math too and sciences. But because math for me is so difficult to understand, I mean, my brain closes when we're talking about numbers. So this is also very interesting to
Yeah, because my daughter was basically linguistic in
Mm.
terms of her multiple intelligences. She's linguistic and kinesthetic. So the only way to teach her math, which she already hated for some reasons at the beginning, was through storytelling and of course manipulatives because she's kinesthetic. But teaching concepts with just manipulatives was quite difficult. So storytelling technique really helped me through all of the difficult principles to teach her. So it was really effective. So I'm really I really support this technique, and I think that it could be probable in using it in many technical subjects.
Subjects. Yes, technical subjects. Because it's really difficult to understand them if we say hate them. Because most
Good morning.
morning, Doc. We have a question, Doc.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
Doc. You can hear.
yes, ma'am Haydee.
Okay. I am very sorry. I responded late, but with regards to the stories about math and science, actually, these two subjects are interconnected, and I have seen already a lot of online sources for stories for both science and math. They are already there, well chosen by the people who compile them for science and math teaching. So you can actually access them and just Google on science stories or math stories. Yeah, but I'm not so. Probably I can send the website to you a little later. I'm just so so swamped right now. We have a family gathering, so my apologies. I hope that answered your question, ma'am.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Thank you. Any more questions? For those who are teaching sciences or math? Any other techniques, I mean, to share? Okay. So if you're shy to ask, you can type it in our chat box. And
This really is an eye opener. It's my first also to hear storytelling on science and mathematics as well. Maybe perhaps if I was younger, I would love to hear stories because I love storytelling. I love listening to stories, and perhaps if this technique is available during my time, I wouldn't have hated mathematics. Um, by then, they ask us to memorize multiplication tables and blah blah blah, and then one mistake is one whip. So I got to hate mathematics because of that teacher. For sciences, I love sciences because of of wonders, questions in my mind. But then, of course, when it comes to calculations and mathematical equations, again, like I hate numbers. Maybe I love numbers if it's money giving to me. I love counting them, but not with the finding your x or finding x y z or whatever. I said, why do you need to find your x? It's your ex already. I'm kidding. But anyway, storytelling is really nice. Like, thank you, Dr. Haydee, for sharing us this storytelling. Like, it didn't come to mind also. Like, this really is an amazing technique that we can use. Perhaps not only in teaching mathematics and sciences. We can use it all across multidisciplinary thing also. So it really suits our theme this conference, where it's used as multidisciplinary techniques. Maybe we can use also. I'm thinking now of how to use this technique in my classes as well. Perhaps it would be really helpful. Thank you very much, Dr. Haydee. Okay, are there any more oh, anyone here uses this technique in their classes? Would you mind sharing them if? And by the way, if you have techniques like this as such, you could share it with us so we can publish them in our special interest groups in uh, methods and techniques uh, special interest group. We would love to have them, your experiences on how to teach, or maybe your best practices in your classrooms or games you've created. We can publish them in our um, publications. Um, it's welcome. So whether it could be in different or other subject areas, we still accept them, not only on ELT. They're thinking like, why focus only on ELT? We started as an ELT group, so we focus on ELT, but we are branching out with other uh, multidisciplinary uh, area, so we could cater them as well. So thank you very much, Dr. Haydee, for sharing that wonderful information. Thank you so much.
Um, um, Thank you, Dr. Haydee, for sharing us about storytelling and science. In my experience, I'm not teaching science, but I am teaching English, and usually storytelling is only used in English subjects. And I heard from Michelle that she uses it with her daughter in math. So I was thinking a while ago while you were presenting, I was imagining, because in English, we can assign students to do the storytelling. We can assign them stories, or we can ask them to pick a story and then tell it in class. So I'm imagining if in science also, if the students are involved in storytelling and not only the teachers, I guess as students are going to memorize what they are going to tell the story in class, I guess it would also help them memorize the facts or information on science. So it's just like maybe a suggestion to some of the teachers here who are teaching science, because usually, as I mentioned a while ago, storytelling is used mostly in English. And as Doc Andy mentioned a while ago, that it's his first time to hear about storytelling in science. It's also my first time also in math. And also the question of Ma'am Michelle a while ago when it comes to materials. Yeah, it takes time for teachers to prepare materials or to make preparation for storytelling. And Dr. Haydee mentioned a while ago that there are links, or we can just find them on the internet. So probably maybe I can also, aside from using probably stories, I can also use storytelling, but using science in my English subject. So that's what I got from Dr. Haydee's presentation today. So thank you so much.
Okay, so if you've got other questions, you can type them on our chat box. If you've got any comments or questions, you can type them on the chat box. We will forward it to Dr. Haydee and she might reply. So if you've got questions, start your questions with your email address so that we can send these questions and Dr. Haydee may contact you in any way. Okay, so the plenary session is done. Thank you so much for your participation, for the questions and for the inputs. Now we move on.
Moving on to our second speaker today. He's a teacher from Pines International College, assistant professor in Pines International College, and he will be talking about determining the challenge of mathematics teachers in communications technology integration, a phenomenological study. So our speaker for today is Assistant Professor Joel Soriano. Um, So for the others who are not here a while ago, videos are on the website for day one, yesterday. Password is capital letters, all capital letters, Gen TFL 2015. You can watch it if you missed them yesterday. And also conference videos will be premiered on Gen TFL YouTube channel on 15th and 16th of this month. And then only to the speakers, for the speakers of this conference, full paper due is extended until 15th of December. So that is our announcement for today. So I think go now to our speaker.
Good day, everyone. Today I will be presenting to you my research titled Determining the Challenges of Mathematics Teachers in Information and Communications Technology Integration, a Phenomenological Study, in yours truly, Joel Soriano, saying hi and mabuhay from the Philippines. To start with, Information and Communications Technology is an umbrella term that includes all technologies for the communication of information. It generally refers to all forms of technologies that are used to create, store, share, or transmit and exchange information. ICT, or Information and Communication Technology, in education is the mode of education that uses information and communications technology to support, enhance, and optimize the delivery of information. Several international well-documented reports on the potential use of ICTs for the improvement of teaching-learning process in different educational levels have been published. This is based on the findings of the researches of Law, Pelgrim and Plump in 2018, Limin Alkley in 2013, and Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development in 2010. The development of ICT skilled educators have been an uphill battle, especially in the present generation. This is based on the research of Ramosa et al. 2007. The influence of technology on teaching and learning activities is growing, and there is an increasing interest among the teaching community on how the TPACK framework can be used during the design, teaching, and reflection phases. TPACK framework stands for Technological, Pedagogical, and Content Knowledge Framework. This is very attractive to teachers because it provides conceptual clarity and gives a language to explain technology integration into the teaching and learning process. In other words, as teachers come to grips with the new educational realities and new educational demands, they need to develop a sensitivity to the dynamic interactional relationship between all the three components of the said framework, the TPACK framework. With the fast emerging technology, education has so far also evolved, and the integration of technology in education has also increased. As an answer to these developments, the experts in the field of education, the teachers, must fully embrace these developments while taking into consideration the importance of grasping full content. This is based on the research of Cranes et al. In 2013. Although research studies show that the integration of ICT in the teaching and learning process increases student engagement, there are still teachers who are reluctant in using ICT. Moreover, researches about ICT integration among Filipino teachers are either mostly in quantitative form or outdated. Hence, with the fast evolving pace of technological development, the issues involving ICT integration among Filipino in-service mathematics teachers must also be investigated. This research aims to determine the challenges of ICT integration of mathematics teachers. Specifically, this study aims to identify the factors that cause the difficulty of integration of the teachers in using ICT. This research is qualitative in nature with an approach of a phenomenological study that involves 7 secondary school mathematics teachers with the criteria of them working at a school that has established ICT program and there are readily available ICT infrastructure as provided by the school. The interview happened in one of the classrooms of one private school in Baguio City. That is the school. The data gathering tools used in this research were focus group discussions supplemented by key participant interview. To gather the needed data, an appointment was sent to the teachers, and then when the schedule and the final venue was in place, the interview happened, and then a follow-up interview was done to supplement the data, and then a document analysis was done. A copy of lesson plan was asked from the teachers. In order to abide to the ethics of research, an assent form was sent to them, and then I made sure that non-participants were not allowed in the interview room. Single word file for transcription was used, and the copy of the transcripts were given to the respondents for validation. And with this, we have the following results. The gathered data generated 3 themes, mainly. First is the dearth of knowledge in the utilization of computer software related to mathematics lessons. Second is the dearth of ICT infrastructure support. And lastly, the dearth of knowledge on classroom and time management. Knowledge in the utilization of computer software related to mathematics lessons. As this study focuses on the challenges experienced by mathematics teachers in integrating ICT, one cannot exclude that the competency of the teacher is still a challenge to himself that agrees with the response of the respondents. When it comes to deciding upon what ICT resources should be used in the teaching process, it is important that the teacher is familiar with the resources he or she is planning to use to meet the skills, abilities, and needs of the learners. That is in coherence with the findings of Virgin, Hurt, and Odabasi in 2011. There were statements that implied that some of the teachers have problems on their knowledge of the software, which challenges them, such as the response of the first respondent, and I quote, "As for the technological software, specifically me, I'm using GeoGebra. My difficulty perhaps is I'm not really used to it, so I am in the process of getting to know more of the app itself. I cannot fully make use of the possible uses it can give to me in my classes." It was then supplemented by the second respondent saying that, I quote, "Although I know some, I still lack the in-depth knowledge of the usage of those softwares, so I really can't use. I tend not to use them because I just know the basics, but not the in-depth." Respondent 3 said that there are some commands that I cannot do, like equations and figures, especially in math. With these statements, it is evident that the respondents find it challenging to use a certain software without fully knowing about it. Hence, sometimes they opt not to use it. This is in accordance with the suggestion of Board Bar in 2010 that teachers who do not want to use technology in teaching lacked knowledge and skills in ICT. The dearth of ICT infrastructure support. Well, technology plays an important role in teaching and learning mathematics as it can really transform the nature of education, and it can also improve the teacher's design of work and can enhance the roles of students and teachers in the learning process. However, introducing technology is solely dependent upon the availability and accessibility of ICT infrastructure such as hardware, software, and communications infrastructure. This is according to the study of Clement, Hassan, and Hossein. Dependence challenges the teacher greatly in the teaching process, as without or lack of these materials, the teacher cannot integrate technology in the classroom. Hence, when the teachers were asked why they find this challenging, some of the responses were, and I quote, "For the hardware, perhaps the difficulty that we are encountering in the utilization of the tablet is the lack of number of it. Even if I want to use tablets in my class, sometimes it's conflicting with the schedule of the other classes." Respondent 3 further said that, I quote, "Some of our tablets can only accommodate 1:2 or 1:3 ratio. The computer sometimes they lag or they are not available." Respondent 5 further explained that I quote, "In our school, there is limited number of LCD projectors. So sometimes if I need to use one, I can't use one. Or if a projector is available, it is not compatible with my laptop." Respondent 1 further explained that, I quote, "Even if I want to use tablets in my class, sometimes it's conflicting with the schedule of other classes. There are limited number of tablets that we can use in the school, and if my class and the other section will be using tablets at the same time, then we'll be having problems already in the number of tablets. Instead of having 1:1 ratio, or make it perhaps 2:1, that would make it 10:50 already as a class." Respondent 1 added that, I quote, "We only have one projector per subject area, so I imagine we are 8 in the area. What if all of us will use a projector, but the school can provide only one? Then you should have a way to borrow in some areas, or if you're lucky, if one has a projector, then you can borrow from him or her." Moreover, since most of these ICT resources need internet connection to function, the slow internet connection in a school can be a challenge also to the mathematics teachers, as mentioned by Respondent 5, which I quote, "And another one, of course, I do not know if it is the internet connections. Sometimes when we use our program in the school, particularly the ARALinks program, we try to make use of our resources. We are having a difficulty in logging in because of the slow internet connection." These findings are similar to the findings of the study of Hudson, Nelson, and Porter in 2008 that the main barrier to the integration of technology in their teaching is the access to computers or the compute labs. The third theme generated is the dearth of knowledge on classroom and time management. According to Bozgu and Testan in 2016, the most important quality of effective teaching is classroom management. However, beginning teachers have a difficulty in managing students' behavior. That is according to Nagler in 2016. This was also shown in the responses of the respondents, since most of them are beginning teachers, even when using ICT or not. Respondent 6 said that even if you have activity on ICT or none, it still relies on the teacher on how you manage well the class. If the teacher is really well grounded on managing the class, then there would be no problem. But for me, as a beginning teacher, I really find it hard to manage my class well, especially on their behavior. Respondent 7 said that, I quote, "For me, technology is used as a tool, but still the management of the class relies on the teacher." Class management is still on the teacher. Whether the respondents use ICT or not, a struggle on classroom management is still seen. Having these results, the research was able to determine the challenges of the secondary math teachers in integrating information and communication technology into their practice. These challenges are the dearth of knowledge in the utilization of computer software-related mathematics lessons, the dearth of ICT infrastructure support, and the dearth of knowledge on classroom and time management. These are the following recommendations, which could actually serve as a new subject area for future research studies. And with that, thank you very much everyone, and may you all be safe. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Joel. Um, if you have questions, kindly type it in our chat box and also your email address so that our speaker can send it to you the answer. And moving on. Oh, so we have today we're going to continue listening to our speaker. And our speaker for today will be talking remedial program and students' performance level in solving mathematical problems. So after science, we're going to math and then math again. So let's continue to listen to our speaker, Mr. Marjohn Mantawil.
Hello everyone, good morning po. So I am Marjohn Mantawil and I am from DepEd Philippines and Division of General Santos City. So allow me to present my slides. Right, so my paper is all about remedial program and students' performance level in solving mathematical problems. So this actually was conducted because I have found out that many of my learners in high school were really having difficulties in solving mathematical problems. And so I tried to find out whether this remedial program can can improve their performance levels in mathematics. And also this research was tried, this study tried to give an emphasis on the importance of the conduct of remedial programs. This study can be a basis for the strict implementation of the conduct of remedial programs in schools to assure that the quality of mathematics education that we are giving to our learners are really quality education. And so this Department of Education Order number 27 was ordered in 2005, and it states that all public high schools must organize and provide remedial instruction program to increase the chances that all students will complete high school with sufficient mastery in all the learning competencies. So the division or city superintendents were instructed to assure that each high school was taking the appropriate measures to establish the necessary remedial instruction program. So that's according to DepEd 2005. So here are the problems of my study. And this study primarily aimed to determine the effects of remedial program to students' performance level in solving mathematical problems. Specifically, it sought to answer the following questions. So one is the performance level of grade 7 students before the remedial program. The second one is the performance level of the grade 7 students after the remedial program. The third question is there any significant difference between the performance levels of students in solving mathematical problems before and after the remedial program? And the fourth one was, is there any significant relationship between the performance levels of the students in solving mathematical problems after the remedial program and their attendance in the said program? So this study used the pre-experimental research design. So it generated information and described the performance level of grade 7 students in Ligaya High School before and after the conduct of the remedial program. So this program was conducted in 7 days actually. And each day we just had 1 hour sessions because the students already had a lot of subjects to learn each day. So we just had 1 hour sessions, and I used the same group of students purposively selected because I had to ensure the validity and truthfulness of the research. So these students, these purposively selected students, were the respondents of my study before and after the conduct of the remedial program. Right? So I had 33 grade 7 students as my respondents. As I have said, they were purposively selected since they were already identified to be having difficulties in solving mathematical problems. So for the data gathering procedure, I first sought the permission of my principal and of course the approval of our schools division superintendent. And after that, I conducted the pre-test and I conducted the remedial program. So during that remedial program, I taught them how to solve different mathematical problems with different techniques. And after that program, I conducted the post-test for me to know if their scores really had improved. So the data were then tabulated and then analyzed. And so the research instrument that I used was a standardized examination tool. This tool came from the DepEd itself, and this was a standardized examination tool that was being used in competitions actually. So I wanted to raise the level of the students that they can go along with other students who are competing in mathematics competitions. So in data analysis, I use the frequency distribution. Just forgive me for the noises outside. Okay, so I use frequency distribution, percentage distribution, paired t-test, and Pearson product moment coefficient of correlation as my statistical tools. Right, so as we can see here in table number 1, a lot of students actually got 0. Ayan. So there were 26 students who got 0 in that pre-test. and there were only 7 students who got scores of 1 to 4. So in table 2, as we can see here, okay, as we can see in table number 2, there were still students who got 0, but there were 5 left who were having 0 in this post-test. And there were 27 students who got 1 to 4. So as we can see in table number 2, the scores of the students improved. And we had here one student who got a score of 5. So as we can see, there was a minimal increase in the performance levels of the students. However, as we can see here in our results of t-test, as indicated by the p-value, which is 0.000, and that is less than 0.05 level of significance. That means there was a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of the students, and that also means that there was a significant increase in the test scores of the students in solving mathematical problems. That means the remedial program really had improved the performance levels of the students in solving mathematical problems. And here's also the results of the correlations. As we can see, in the post-test, we had here the correlation coefficient 0.619, and it is significant as indicated by this p-value 0.000, and that is less than 0.05 level of significance. That means that the post-test scores of the students had a significant relationship with their attendance, meaning if they will attend more in that remedial program, their scores in that post-test will also increase. So there was a significant relationship between the post-test scores of the students and their attendance as suggested by the p-value 0.000. Okay, so here are my conclusion and recommendations. Remedial program played a very significant role in students' progress in solving mathematical problems. So we should not neglect conducting remedial programs, because as we had learned through the PISA results, the PISA results in mathematics of the Philippines was very low. And it's actually because we were not conducting a lot of time to really remediate those students who were struggling in mathematics. So I believe that this remedial program will do to really improve the performance level of the learners, and it must be religiously implemented and continuously improve students' performance level in mathematics. Also, students' attendance must be increased for them to improve their performance in solving mathematical problems. And to do this, the school and its teachers must devise a strategic plan to address this concern. Of course, we cannot teach students who are not present. That is why we have to really do something to bring our students in schools, because that's actually one of the problems here in the Philippines. And yeah, that we need to really bring them to schools for them to really learn more, because without them in schools, without them learning in schools, without the teachers teaching them, then they cannot easily understand all the lessons that they will be learning. So that was my study, and it's about the remedial program, and I hope that this will be essential to anyone who will be having this as a reference in their future studies. So that's all, and I'm now open for questions or any suggestions or corrections. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sir Marjohn. Question, okay, ma'am.
Yeah, I believe there's so much effort in doing remedial classes, but my question is this. Is there a way for like schools to actually identify the gap na more, I mean, in a more strategic way. Like for example, in the case of in the case of homeschooling, or even in other traditional schools, they would actually invest on giving, what would you call that? Like proficiency exam, for standardized proficiency exam for students every like my kids actually took it like every quarter. So there was a diagnostic, and then every quarter they would take it, and it actually identified what is the gap, what are the things they don't know, for example, both in math, science, and even in reading. And then it was easier for me as a teacher to address that need, because I know what you would probably be doing for a remedial, since it's all of them, is just, you know, a blanket technique. Okay, let's do this. But what if there are still, you know, students there who's way below where your starting point is in terms of remedial? Because I saw that there were still about 5 students who still managed to get zero.
Yeah.
Was it zero?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I think since there were still students who got very poor performance, I believe that we have to do more in remedial program, and we need to extend more time for them to learn more, because they really need more time also in learning mathematics. And as what you have said, we are also conducting exams, and actually, as what I have presented a while ago, attendance really plays an important role also in their learning. So it's one of the challenges that we have in public schools here in the Philippines. And attendance really is really a big challenge, especially in schools that are not in the city, or what I mean is especially those students who are far from their schools. So aside from the attendance, there were actually a lot of factors that affected their attendance also. So there are so many things that we need to do here in the Philippines, and there's still a lot of programs. I believe the DepEd, the Department of Education, has to do more about it, and the local government also has to do more about it, because as the saying said, it takes the community to raise a child. Indeed, it really takes a community to really raise a child, because it is a collaborative effort. We need the teachers, we need the community, we need stakeholders to help us to work together in this endeavor. And I hope, and I'm praying that we can do that.
I really appreciate what you're doing, because knowing the Philippines and knowing that you belong to the public school, I know that this is beyond what is required of you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
really, really appreciate that you are doing all this.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions po? I hope that there are some other teachers doing that before when I'm still young, so that I learned to love really math, because I really struggled even until now. If you can say just the simple math solving, and then I said, oh no, my brain is closed.
Yeah.
I say I love them, but numbers hate me. So,
I was actually surprised that one of my students, he was a senior high school student, and he told me that, sir, I don't know how to divide. He was a senior high school student, and he told me, sir, I don't know how to divide. How come that he was able to go into that level in senior high school, that he doesn't know how to divide? So that was really an alarming case that we have here in the Philippines. And I believe we as mathematics teachers have to do more. It requires us to do more talaga. It really requires us to do more. And I hope that many teachers will do more, because it's really something that we need to take action. We really need to do something about it. Thank you so much for listening po.
I was just reminded that, you know, I know this was what decades ago when they had the program in the US that says no child left behind, which
Yes.
basically means, you know, to do everything to help children to really move forward. Okay.
Yes.
But of course, they are more well funded. So they had more individualized help provided for the students. But unfortunately, I think the Philippines took it in a different way. They thought that no child left behind is push them even if they're not ready for the next level, because they don't want them to be you know, part of the numbers as reported as repeaters, because I think that also affected the, I don't know if it's the evaluation of the teachers that has been affected, or is it the evaluation of the district itself or the school itself, if they do report a lot of students or a number of students, you know, failing or would have to repeat a certain year level. And I know that you are judging by how you look, I think that you are now what, you're reaping what the others have sown. So now
Yes.
you will have to take care of the problem, even if you were not the ones who actually contributed to such a problem. So just, well, keep it up. It's really a very good work.
Yeah. That's why I'm actually conducting different intervention programs. However, in these times, since we are having this pandemic, it's really challenging because we're just having modular distance learning. So we're just giving modules to students, and it's hard for us to reach out to them and to really interact with them, for them to learn better. And I hope that this pandemic will end so that we can help them in a way that they will learn mathematics. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right. So I hope I have shared something that is essential. It's something that's timely and relevant for everybody.
Thank you, sir. No more questions, I think. Maybe they're still shy. So maybe now we will move on to our next speaker. It's still on mathematics part. So our speaker for today is Assistant Professor Ricson Ricardo, STI College. He will be talking about the effectiveness of mobile-aided instruction application in teaching mathematics.
Good day, everyone. My name is Ricson Ricardo. I am from the Philippines. I'll be presenting my study entitled The Effectiveness of Mobile-Aided Instruction Application in Teaching Mathematics. Again, hoping and praying that everyone is in good health and situation. For the introduction, mathematics is considered as one of the most difficult subjects to many students due to its nature, which involves hierarchy, logical reasoning, calculation or computation, symbolism or language, and abstract in nature according to Raman and Patadja. So various students who finish their secondary education try to choose their college degree having lesser related mathematics subjects as a consequence of their aversion to the subject. Another, mathematics is one of the considered boring subjects because of its nature as abstract, difficult, and complex. Hence, students tend to dislike any topic related to it. Consequently, it creates problems or challenges to mathematics teachers, especially from elementary, even in senior high school level, which understanding and grasping fundamental concepts are essential. In the traditional board and chalk, aside from the stereotype mathematics subject as boring, the bare presentation of the instruction adds up to the unexciting and unappealing image of mathematics, which hampered the learning process. So, tangible conception and visualizations are beneficial to help students understand and learn abstract ideas. Effective mathematics instruction became promising because of technology. Technological advancements such as computers made a lot of modifications on educational environments. Teachers and students would agree that computer made their lives easier and at the same time complicated. According to Vendolio and Vendia, they recognize computers as brilliant aids in teaching and can enhance learning of students. Also, according to Ramani and Pataja, they considered also the computers as one of the technologies which played a dynamic role in the learning process of students because it can work with their imagination and students can grasp easily the instruction because of the help of visual materials which supports the instruction of mathematical concepts. As technology advances, computer progresses as well, from big or immobile computers to mobile or handheld computers or devices. Mobile devices, of course, refer to wireless, handheld, uh, compact, lightweight computing devices that is made for portability, such as smartphone or tablet computer. Mobile computing devices are the advancement of the personal computer. They have almost the same utilities and tasks except in their mobility and portability. Nowadays, due to the technological evolution, computers or computing device became wireless, again handheld or compact, hence easy to bring anywhere and became potent instructional tool for mathematics. With this breakthrough, many software developers engage in developing application connected in line with online and offline educational such as games or utilities, etc. Following the latest trends in mathematics instructions, such as problem based learning, student led solutions, risk taking, having fun, and collaboration, thus, developments in software focus more on the perspective of the learner and not of the teacher. The constructivist perspective or constructivism poses a basic idea that knowledge must be constructed by the learner and the teacher cannot supply it. It suggests that students are responsible for their learning, while teachers are responsible for creating an effective learning environment. So the trends of software development concentrate in the tell me, show me, let me explain, and let me investigate applications to reinforce or to engage and allow students to construct their own learning experience, especially in mathematics. However, in the Philippine context, adopting this learning approach via software application may consider the current issue of some Filipino learners. In one of the studies conducted in the higher education, okay, this is the study conducted by Andaya. Okay, the researcher the author found out factors affecting mathematics achievements of students. This include the high correlation of individual and mathematics instruction. Individual instructional factor greatly affect achievements in fundamental mathematics. Instructional factor is the number one predictor of achievement in contemporary math. And lastly, instructional factor is the factor that affects most of the achievements of students in mathematics. So even if there are vast of software applications intended for mathematics, learners' manipulations to create the learning experience, still this will not contribute much to the achievements of students in mathematics because the concern is the quality of instruction. But of course, as pointed out by Tabada and Vendia, appropriate use of technology will allow students to learn more on a greater level. They stated that using technology in education might encourage motivation of learners, such as gaining learner attention, encouraging the learner to production work, and of course, increasing perceptions of learner control. So, using handheld devices or technologies compared to desktop or personal computers would be an advantage because it is portable and easy to manipulate or navigate by the teacher for instruction. So the delivery of the learning content through the visual image or multimedia materials and the wireless projection of the learning content will supplement to the learning excitement and interest of students. Another, the multimedia capability of mobile devices and explicit instruction will help students to understand the learning content through multiple senses in which allow students to better absorb and understand the subject. Therefore, this study aimed to develop a software application for mobile devices intended for the content and learning delivery of the teacher in mathematics instruction. Although instructivist approach is one of the trends nowadays, but the nature of mathematics as a procedural knowledge and the current condition of STI Alabang Senior High School students, based in the researchers, of course, based in my prior experience, encourages the creation of instructional tool or the Maya or the mobile aided instruction application to be used for the explicit or direct instructions of mathematics. Lastly, with this study, issues such as poor internet connection or connectivity for STI learning management system, mathematics as a difficult and, and unattractive mathematics instruction will be addressed as well. For the statement of the problem, the purpose of the study, of course, was to develop a mobile aided instruction application or Maya in the teaching of mathematics. Specifically, the study also sought to answer the following questions. Number one, what stages are undertaken in the development of Maya in the teaching of mathematics at STI College Alabang using the RAD model? Second is, what is the evaluation by the math teachers and IT practitioners of the mobile aided instruction application in terms of functional suitability, performance efficiency, usability, reliability, and security? And the last one is, what is the difference between the evaluation by the teachers and IT practitioners of Maya? For the methods and procedure, in this study, the researcher utilized the developmental and descriptive design in realizing the mobile aided instruction application. The descriptive design was used in order to describe what exists and may be able to uncover new facts and meanings. Also, this is to observe, describe, and document to acquire accurate factual systematic data that can provide the researcher basic information about variables and to highlight potential relationship between variables. Hence, it was used for the presentation of the information and analysis of the results of gathered data from respondents. For the developmental design, the research employed the software model Rapid Application Development or RAD. This model relies heavily on prototyping and user involvement. RAD has three phases, which includes uh, requirements planning phase, design workshop, or user design and construction, and the last one is implementation. The researcher has an advantage in using this model because the system or software application can be developed more speedily with substantial cost savings. Also for the method, the quantitative was used since it concerns numbers and frequencies. Hence, survey method was adopted as well. The survey method was employed to evaluate mobile aided instruction application by IT professionals and mathematics teachers via questionnaire. The respondents of the study were math teachers and IT practitioners. Teachers were presently employed this or last academic year 2017-2018 who handled mathematics at STI Senior High School, Southern Manila, Muntiparlas area. Of course, Muntiparlas uh, stands for Muntinlupa, Parañaque, and Las Piñas, regardless if they are full-time or part-time teachers. For the IT practitioners, the main requirement was his or her experience in the field of information technology. The minimum industry experience of the respondents was 5 years. Thus, the study adopted the non-probability sampling method called purposive sampling method or expert sampling. The research used the RAD model for the development of the application. In the data gathering, the questionnaire is the core instrument. The researcher used the standard questionnaire set by the International Organization for Standardization or ISO 25010 software product quality criteria. The adopted ISO questionnaire comprised of 8 quality characteristics as product quality evaluation system. The questionnaire is composed of 2 parts. The first part is the respondent's name and profession, while the second part will deal with the assessment of the evaluation of the application, again using the following criteria: functional suitability, performance efficiency, usability, reliability, and security. And the questionnaire contains 21 statements or criteria to be responded upon using Likert scale with 5 response options or scale in which 5 is the highest and 1 is the lowest. So these are the results of the study. Number 1, the developed mobile aided instruction application was effective via rapid application development or RAD model, and RAD was an acceptable software model for Maya or mobile aided instruction application. Another, in teaching mathematics, using Maya was perceived by math teachers as very effective and deemed by IT practitioners as effective. Number 3, there is no significant difference between the evaluations of math teachers and IT practitioners in the effectiveness of mobile aided instruction application. And for the recommendation, the first one is teachers may use Maya as an alternative instructional tool to organize and present their challenging lessons effectively. So basically, this is not only for math teachers, even other subjects, English, science, etc. Okay, may utilize or may use Maya. Another, speakers, meaning webinar speakers or presenter, etc., may adopt Maya as a tool in their speaking engagement to organize their presentation materials. Third, IT practitioners may develop softwares or instructional tools ideal for remote areas with no internet access or connectivity. And the last one, for the recommendation, school administrator may conduct a beta testing and afterwards an implementation of mobile aided instruction application, a supplement tool to the current learning management system of STI College Alabang. So that would be all, and thank you and God bless to everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Assistant Professor Ricson Ricardo, for that presentation. If you have got questions, please type them on the chat box with your email address, and then we will send to the presenters. Um, we're sorry that 2 presenters are not here with us today because of some reasons. However, they were able to send their recordings. Anyway, all of these presentations are recorded and it will be available soon in our website, and also on YouTube. Again, as mentioned earlier, it will be premiered again on our YouTube channel for those who would like to go over and recheck and listen again to these presentations. It will be available on our YouTube channel on the 15th of December. Okay, so that is the last presentation for this morning. I think we went ahead of time. So we will have a break until we resume back at 1 o'clock this afternoon, Thailand time. 1 o'clock Thailand time for the afternoon session. Thank you so much for attending and participation, and see you again this afternoon with the same link. Thank you so much.